We've just been told we got your attention with that loud clanging of the chime. Thank you for doing that. Good morning, everyone, and I want to welcome you all to the first online service held by the Keweenaw Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I really have to start with a couple of technical details first, and then we'll move on to our standard order of service. First, you are all muted right now. We have the ability to close down your transmission of sound to everyone else. We do that because rustling papers, people getting up, moving a chair, all that sort of stuff disrupts the people's ability to hear and focus on who's ever speaking. So there will be 2 times during this service when we ask you to let us know that you want to talk through the chat dialog box. And again, I've told everybody as they're coming in, the bottom of your screen, in the middle of the bottom of your screen is a little caption bubble that looks green, and you click on it, it says chat in the middle of it. You click on it and it pops up a chat box on the right-hand side of your screen, and that allows you to go to the bottom of that chat box and type in your message. Please send those messages to everyone, but particularly when you send them to everyone, Leonard, who's here, thank you, Leonard, will be reading those, and that will be the list of people who are going to talk at Joys and Concerns, and the list of people who want to talk at Congregational Conversation. And we're going to try this. This is pretty sophisticated, but we're going to try to get that done. So thank you, and consider yourselves really quite talented for getting online and doing this with us this morning. And anybody who's on a phone, we want you to understand that we appreciate you being there, and we know you can't see us, but you are there in our auditory lives. So we're glad that you're there, and you can't chat. So we're going to have to figure out how to check in with the phone people around the Joys and Concerns time. Again, welcome. We're going to start with Sandra, and you are lucky today because Sandra, I wrote in the order of service, Sandra's going to read "Come Come Whoever You Are," but Sandra and Alex will play and sing "Come Come Whoever You Are." Sandra.
Come, come, whoever you are, one wish could cover or grieve. Yours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, one wish could cover or grieve. Yours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wander fish, couple of baby, Christ is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come.
As resounding and as welcoming as any time we've sung that. So I hope you all sang along. I'm standing here while Dave adjusts the camera because he's coming up to deliver our announcements for today.
My name is Dave Watkins, and it's my pleasure to greet you today. We are an intentionally inclusive religious community, welcoming people of different sexualities, gender identities, expressions, races, ages, abilities, and faiths. No matter who you are or where you are in your spiritual journey, you're welcome here. We do have just a couple announcements today. The 7+ suppers will be postponed. Hopefully we can have those in late spring or early summer, so stay tuned. And I also just want to let people know that the small group meetings in the fellowship will continue. If people are uncomfortable meeting in person, we can try to arrange maybe for Zoom, virtual attendance as we're doing today, but for now the small group meetings will still be on. So welcome everyone.
Thanks, Alex. I'm going to offer today's chalice lighting reading. Again, I'm going to share the same one that I used last time we met. It's in the front of our gray hymnal. This living tradition we share draws from many sources. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Words and deeds of prophetic women and men which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. Wisdom from the world's religions which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life, Jewish and Christian teachings which call us to respond to God's love by loving our neighbors as ourselves, humanist teachings which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science and warn us against idolatries of the mind and spirit. Spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. Grateful for the religious pluralism which enriches and ennobles our life, our faith, we are inspired to deepen our understanding and expand our vision. As free congregations, we enter into this covenant, promising to one another our mutual trust and support.
We have two readings for today. The first is from the late Kurt Vonnegut, 1994 Humanist of the Year and past American Humanist Association Honorary President. I am a humanist, which means, in part, that I have tried to behave decently without rewards or punishment after I am dead. The second reading is from Gloria Steinem, the 2012 Humanist of the Year. When we speak of equality of women and men, blacks and whites, of all the world's people, we are talking about humanism.
Thanks, Sandra. This is going to be the time when we're going to open up the chat window. This is our moment of sharing joys and concerns, and we would like to do this with one person talking at a time. So if you have a joy or concern to share, please enter your name into the chat window, just your name, and we'll call on you and unmute your microphone as you go along. If you're on the phone, I'll check and see while we're doing this who's on the phone, and we'll try to unmute you at one moment and see if you need to speak as well. So anybody writing in the chat box?
Ellen.
Ellen?
Yes.
Okay, we have one so far with Ellen. And let me wait for a minute and see if we can create the list.
She's on. Okay.
Okay, is she unmuted?
Ellen is unmuted.
Ellen, I'm going to drop a stone into the water for you, and then you can speak, please.
I saw a robin on Wednesday. That's it.
Miriam.
Okay, so I think I just heard that Ellen saw a robin on Wednesday. Is that right? Okay, great. That's a great joy.
Tammy.
Okay, Tammy, I'm dropping a stone into the water for you. Please share your thoughts.
I have a joy to share. 1 year ago today, I didn't think I would be here a year later. So I'm really happy I am.
An anniversary of being here still. Thank you. I think we can all applaud for that. We're glad you're here, Tammy.
Chuck.
Hi.
I'm going to drop a pebble in and please share your thoughts.
Okay, well, thank you for being there today. My wife Lois is still in the hospital in Marquette, and essentially we have no idea how long she'll be there, but she's on the verge of being transferred to the University of Michigan Hospital to get a higher level of care. And of course, that has its complications because that's a long ways away for me to visit. Plus, which with this travel restrictions and so forth, it makes it even more difficult. So anyway, that's where we are now. Thanks for listening.
Chuck, you know you're in our thoughts, and Lois is as well. So we will be eager to hear the next report in your travels together.
It's in particular, they're going to transfer her by ambulance. And just imagine that, an 8-hour ambulance ride. Okay.
Yeah, we're with you, Chuck.
That's it.
I'd like to thank you all for sharing. I'd like to thank you all for being part of the listening circle that you provided for those who did share. And I want to remind you that if there are joys and concerns that are not ready to be shared, I'm going to drop another stone in the water for them. We will be here, darn it, one way or the other next week, and we will be ready to share and to listen. Thank you all. I've included in the order of service today the offering section, and some of you may be chuckling as to, haha, how are you going to do an offering? But I want to be clear with you that I just need to remind you that we are a self-supporting congregation, and you all do such wonderful work in contributing to our shared success around that. There is a place on our website, kewanauuu.org, where you can go to PayPal and you can give a couple dollars online. I just want to remind you that even in this difficult time, the basket can pass through our website, and you can drop a couple dollars in through PayPal. So please think of that this week. We are all tense about all these things, but we do need to continue to support our efforts. Thank you very much. See if they have something to share. Hello, and I'm sorry, this is the first time we've done this. There are 3 phone callers, and I promised that I would get to you around joys and concerns, and I quite frankly forgot. And so right now, Leonard is going to open up phone line 221-7073. If that's you, 221-7073, you're now unmuted. And if you had anything to say, you could say it now. Hello?
Hi, everyone. It's Sherry Zors out in Washington State.
Hi, Sherry.
And my great joy is that I'm with you today. Thanks to the internet. I wasn't able to get the Zoom thing to load somehow, but I'll talk to you about that later. But it's wonderful to be able to part of the service. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. we're really glad you're there. Wonderful. And now the next number that Leonard's going to unmute is 482-1173. 482-1173. If you had anything to share, please let us know.
Hello,
Hello.
this is Bob Fiant.
Oh, Bob, what a pleasure to hear from you. Bob, if I may interrupt you for a brief minute, I didn't read the announcement about the library, so if you want to say anything, feel free to.
I'm not prepared to do that.
Okay, cool. Just everybody will understand that the library is only going to be accessible when we all gather again together. And so that's
Right.
That's what we're
Library will be shut down for several weeks, so.
yeah. But we hold it close in our heart, and I wanted to let everybody know that library checkouts went up dramatically with the advent of the new cart. So thanks, Bob, for your idea, and thanks everybody for checking them out. We'll extend those returns.
Yeah, I'm having problems with my computer. I'm watching you on video and talking on the phone at the same time, so it's working, I think, but I'll discuss the problems later on. I'll talk to you in person later on.
Thanks a lot, Bob. We have one more phone number that we want to check, and we're going to unmute phone number 370-1684. 370-1684, if you had anything to share.
04.
04, sorry. I should never do this. 370-1604. On my defense, it looked like an 8. So.
Oh, hello?
Hello.
Oh, is that 370-1604? That's my cell phone. This is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
The other Bob. Yeah, good. Yeah, I wasn't, let me say, I wasn't able to get good sound, so I'm on the phone, is all.
Good.
I couldn't get good sound off the computer.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I don't know why.
Well, maybe we can talk on the phone this week. You and I, call me, and we'll problem solve some of that.
Oh, okay. Now I've got a call coming in on another phone.
Okay, see you later.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. I should have had him just join us all together as a three-way call. No, sorry. Thank you all. I think we've covered our bases, right? Thank you. Really, what a marvelous interchange there. Just to have people in Washington State and across the country calling in. So thank you. And that brings me to the fact that across the country, congregations are knitting together responses in the face of clearly contradictory imperatives. The first is to recognize that the best way to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus is to conscientiously stay separate from one another. This social separation can help minimize the spread by minimizing our potential contact with folks who may not even know they carry the virus. So it is imperative that we observe social separation. But as UUs, we carry another imperative, and that is to be in relationship with others. Our vision calls for us to end separations that alienate us from one another. We are compelled to be together. That is our imperative. So we've muscled up and we're trying this first online Sunday service, and I'm so glad all of you are with us. I truly hope, even with any of our technological snafus, that we will connect through this medium and we will accomplish both our imperatives. Me talking about humanism on this emotionally charged day kind of challenged me. I wondered what this predominantly philosophical and even intellectual subject had to offer in a moment when such deep emotional currents are running through us all. I'm going to try to make sense of that challenge. The story of religious humanism began shortly after World War I, and its precepts were declared in 1933 when a group of philosophers, Unitarian ministers, and other religious liberals issued a humanist manifesto. That first manifesto was consciously designed to build a religious faith. not just a philosophy of life, it represented a heartfelt attempt to bond intellectual integrity with religious experience. The manifesto's preamble read, "The time has come for widespread recognition of the radical changes in religious beliefs throughout the modern world. The time is past for mere revision of traditional attitudes. Science and economic change have disrupted the old beliefs. Religions the world over are under the necessity of coming to terms with new conditions created by a vastly increased knowledge and experience. In every field of human activity, the vital movement is now in the direction of a candid and explicit humanism. In order that religious humanism may better understand, we, the undersigned, desire to make certain affirmations that which we believe the facts of our contemporary life demonstrate." In good stead by a bunch of Unitarian ministers and other folks of common ilk, they wrote 15 principles upon which that new religion was to be founded. And I'm not going to read all 15 to you, but I wanted to give you a flavor of the sort of orientation of this group of people, and I'll read a few to give you that perspective. The first principle said that religious humanists regard the universe as self-existing and not created. Secondly, they wrote that humanism believes that people are a part of nature and that they have emerged as a result of a continuous process. The seventh principle read that religion consists of those actions, purposes, and experiences which are humanly significant. Nothing human is alien to the religious. It includes labor, art, science, philosophy, love, friendship, recreation, all that is expressive of intelligently satisfying human living. The distinction between the sacred and the secular can no longer be maintained. The ninth principle read, in the place of the old attitudes involved in worship and prayer, the humanist finds his or her religious emotions expressed in a heightened sense of personal life and in a cooperative effort to promote social well-being. And finally, the 15th principle, we assert that humanism will A, affirm life rather than deny it, B, seek to elicit the possibilities of life, not flee from them, and C, endeavor to establish the conditions of a satisfactory life for all, not merely for a few. By this positive morale and intention, humanism will be guided, and from this perspective, the alignment, the techniques and efforts of humanism will flow. So those are their principles, and the preamble actually recognized this new religion became necessary because, as they said, religions the world over are under the necessity of coming to terms with new conditions. That statement also foretold the ongoing changes that would be inherent in this new religious faith. They would have to change too, as that contemporary world changed. And because of that, 2 additional manifestos have been delivered, one in 1973 and one in 2003, and an ongoing evolution of religious humanism. At its founding, religious humanism was intended to form a freestanding faith. In large part, though, what happened was that Unitarianism and later Unitarian Universalism made such welcoming space within their existing religious communities for humanism that they kind of, Unitarian Universalism kind of absorbed humanism in many important facets. As former UUA president Bill Schultz wrote in his book, Making the Manifesto, The Birth of Religious Humanism, perhaps, he says, in no denomination but Unitarianism, with its aversion to creeds and dogmas, could such a frankly non-theistic movement as religious humanism have arisen without provoking a schism. For more than a decade, Schultz continues, from 1916 on, Unitarian ministers, notably John Dietrich and Curtis Reese, began preaching humanism to their congregations. Through the 1920s, Unitarians debated the merits of a strictly human-centered, scientifically minded, ethically focused religion. Ultimately, the humanist-theist controversy that exercised the American Unitarian Association had largely abated by 1933 and the issuance of the first manifesto. So there is a reciprocal influence of humanism on Unitarian Universalism and UUs on humanism. And it's evident in this 1998 survey of UUs that revealed that 46% of our members regarded themselves as theologically humanist. More than twice the number who identified as the second most common perspective, nature-centered spirituality, and far more than the 13% who called themselves theists, or the 9.5% who described themselves as Christians. Schultz wrote about this in his book later when he said, even those Unitarian Universalists who do not identify with the religious humanist category would be foolish not to realize that they too should pay it tribute, for it provides a set of values that are due honor to this day. You know, I think it bears noting that beyond the UU and humanist relationship, it can be said that humanist-theist controversy in the larger world has significantly changed since the 1933 Manifesto. And Schultz wrote again in 2003 that Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson are right. The basic principles of humanism have come to pervade our larger culture. Schultz continued, in a recent pamphlet on humanism, one of its practitioners, a UU by the way, listed the basic tenets of humanism as these: showing love to all humans. Immortality is found in the examples we set and the work we do. We gain insight from many sources and all cultures. We have the power within ourselves to realize the best we are capable of as human beings, and we are responsible for what we do and become. Schultz says, of course, nothing is wrong with any of those affirmations. I agree with all of them. And he says, I venture to say that so do millions of other Americans who would be shocked to learn that they are thereby considered humanists. I doubt if there is a single theist, Christian, or advocate of earth-centered spirituality within Unitarian Universalism today who would not affirm those tenets, he finished up. So we UUs are enmeshed in humanism. And as we speak, that is changing. I don't have current numbers for religious orientations among UUs, but it feels safe to say and to equate strong humanist leanings with a cohort of folks who have become, let me say, our senior aged members. Clearly, not exclusively, but in large part, a generational shift is occurring. Humanism helped clarify our idea of agency, the idea that each of us can be conscious and make healthy changes in our lives. What I think is changing, and the latest Manifesto number 3 reflects some of this, is our growing understanding of the oppressive differences in power and the differences that result in individual agency. I know, surely, the early humanists recognized the evil embodied in World Wars I and II. They recognized from them serious differences of power and the differences in opportunity for agency. But today, we are not only recognizing our agency as our humanist forebears paved the way for us to do, we are also growing our understanding of how individual agency must be coupled to a sense of mutuality. Each of us have to learn the extent of our freedom and the reality of our interconnectedness. I must say, expanding on the ideas of mutuality is possibly a year's worth of sermons and probably best done by somebody smarter than me. But I am certain that this evolution toward mutuality that owes great respect to humanism is absolutely the connection to our current response to the COVID-19 virus. We are free to act as we wish, and the potential spread of the virus compels us to recognize our interconnectedness. So when a COOF member was at Walmart recently and the person checking her out told her that earlier in the day, a guy had bought 90 packages of toilet paper in order to resell it on eBay, the checkout person was taken aback when our UU comrade said, well, that doesn't really help the community, does it? Sure, we've fully realized our freedom to act, but we still have to work on our sense of mutuality. Let these next few weeks be our chance to find and act on critical moments of mutuality. There's no one better to do that than us. And let's reinforce each other in that effort here on our online Sunday services. Join us for next week's online service. Look for the link in this next week's digest. As always, thank you, Alex. And I want to make clear to everyone that we are grateful that Alex and Sandra are here today, and they will be here in the next week's service. And we are going to sing some more songs next week. That's what Sandra and I promised each other today. So I want to let you know that music will be a part of these services, and we appreciate those of you who have already texted in to say or chatted in to say that you appreciate that as well. Okay, you ready? I've been told to keep my hands down because they block my face, so I'm going to rub my hands together over here. This next part is our congregational conversation. This is a time when as you all are familiar with, where we share our thoughts maybe on the sermon or maybe on whatever else you want to talk about. And the way you're going to gain access to this is through that same process of chatting your name only into the chat box now. And Leonard will be making a list, and I'll be calling you out one at a time. He'll unmute you, and you'll get to be clearly heard by everybody. So anybody chatting yet, Leonard? No. So we'll take a minute because I know that stuff takes a time to get used to. Coming in? Okay.
Tammy.
Okay, Tammy, we're unmuting you right now. Tammy, share your thoughts.
My thoughts are that probably 10 years ago, I saw Maya Angelou at Michigan Tech, and she was quite elderly at the time and was sitting in a chair on the stage. And she looked around the room and she said, "Hello to all my brothers and sisters." And at the time, I thought I wasn't related to her. But now that I've had 2 genetic tests, I am related to everybody. We are very, very close, like 2 degrees of separation between me and everybody else in the world. And that makes me human. And I'm very happy to call Maya Angelou and everybody I know my brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you very much for that. That's the best part of being human. Who's next? Nobody.
No?
That's great. Listen,
Jan Dahlquist.
Jan Dahlquist, you're up next.
Yes, she's unmuted.
You're unmuted, Jan, if you wanted to say something. Oh dear.
Can't hear.
Yeah, Jan, just so you know, we can't hear you right now. So there may be a problem with your microphone, and you know, we might have to get with you and personally sort that out. I'm sorry. If you wanted, if it was something quick, you could chat it into. If you could type it into the chat, we could read it out loud for everybody, or you know, we'd be glad to do that. If it was something quick that you wanted to say. Anybody else?
Jack?
Hey, Jack, we're going to unmute you now. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Paul, I thank you for the sermon on a small but important part of our history. And I encourage you to cover more of these topics. When Sydney was here, I remember attending some adult RE, and she covered the 19th century. She had a special interest in that, and I wouldn't expect you to do that. But there are a number of topics that I think our group would find interesting. One of them I can think of right away is the joining of the UNU, Unitarian Universalism. Why this was done, why did people think it was a good idea? The religions aren't a perfect fit, but they seem to be doing all right now. I was surprised when Sydney said that Unitarians, at least in the 19th century, looked down on Universalists because in general they had less education. They were more associated with the farming communities.
Sure.
And I remember being in rural Indiana many years, several decades ago, and we came upon a closed Universalist church in a small town there in Indiana, which I always associate now with that group. So I encourage you to consider more of these topics in the future.
Thank you. I've got some interest in the 19th century Unitarians as well. So I hope I can bring some of that to the congregation.
Good.
Thanks, Jack.
Yep.
Anybody else? Jan, did you type anything? Did she type anything? No.
Just okay.
Okay. Thanks, Jan. And we'll figure out what's going on with your microphone when we can in this next week. Well, listen, thank you all. This is a momentous time, and this is a momentous occasion. We have successfully navigated our first live streaming service. We have had contact with people across the country, and I am overjoyed that we've had this chance to be together, and it really means a lot to me to stay connected. So let me extinguish the chalice now. And I'll extinguish this flame. Ooh, still lit. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. I know that fire of commitment, by the way. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Sandra will sing the benediction song.
I'd like everyone to sing along with me, people who are here, and sing along at home because I know you know it.
Let us stand in celebration of life's promised mystery. And in peace and love and courage, free our hearts and minds be free.
Minds be free.
Thank you all. Go and have a good day. We'll see you again. Look for your next link in the digest, and we'll probably send an all-out email as well. But I thank you all. Yeah, Leonard's going to unmute everybody if we want to all have sort of a chorus of goodbyes. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. I love you all. Take care.
Are we showing up on somebody else?
On this whole thing.
We're still talking.